Hello everyone, and welcome to week 7 of English 120. This week we're going to be drafting our argumentative essay. We're also going to be doing a peer review and a self-review of those essays. Then you'll be completing another unit in comp class. You're going to complete the research lesson, correct paraphrasing and summarizing. And next week we'll be putting that into action. Here are your assignments for this week. I have extended the deadline on the argumentative essay to October 9th in order to enable you to use more, in order to enable you to use the time and use the feedback that you're going to get from your peers and from yourself over the next week, so give you some time to revise it. But next week we will be kicking off our research unit, so you'll have a few more days to work on this, but we won't be talking about it during the following week. Alright, let's go back to how you think about drafting an essay. Hopefully, doing that research in the Opposing Viewpoints database really helped you think about how to get started on your essay. Helped you find a conversation to join, helped you find something that was arguable. So you've done the planning, you've identified your purpose and audience, you've decided on one main point, one thing that you're going to argue, and hopefully you've begun to really solidify a thesis, a claim you're going to make, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. The next stage is to really start organizing your ideas by grouping or outlining. Then, after you've got that good overall picture of what you want to write, then you begin to write. And you do this by starting and restarting. You're gonna start your draft and maybe stop and start again. You're going to build out paragraphs. You're going to open and conclude those paragraphs, and you're going to create coherence within your writing. That means one thing will lead to the other. Then you're going to develop. So you'll explain and support the points that you're making in your essay, and you'll add definitions, examples, and details, and evidence to support both logos and pathos to support what you're saying in your essay. So what does that look like? What you do is you're going to go back to your pre-writing and figure out what the topic is that you found that you want to argue, and figure out what purpose you want. Why do you want to argue that? For example, maybe we've used this example before, that parking in the morning before class is annoying, right? That's not something that is a proper argumentative topic, because it's an opinion. It's not something that's arguable. But you could argue that campus parking is a big problem, because that's something that you could use evidence to support and use as a way to change someone's mind. Maybe not everyone thinks parking is a big problem, and you can use evidence to really convince your audience that parking has become a big problem. So what does this mean when it comes to an argumentative essay? The basics are, you're going to make a claim. You're going to give a statement that you want us to believe, and you want to know your intention before you make that claim. So your purpose or your intention for making that claim. Throughout your paper, you're going to give us reasons that'll make us believe by using evidence. You're going to give a reason, then give us evidence to support that reason. Before you even begin writing your paper, you need to understand and communicate the history of the topic, the history of the conversation that you're about to join. Who are the people that are considered the experts in your conversation? And do they agree or disagree? You want to know what the counter arguments are. So what other people have decided that disagrees with your claim, what the other side thinks. And remember, you want to approach all of that with an open mind. So when it comes to actually drafting your paper, this is what you should do. Your introduction will introduce your topic and what you will argue in your paper. It's going to introduce it to your reader, and it's going to establish why they should listen to you. So the first thing you want to do in your introduction is introduce the history of your topic and state your claim. What part of this argument are you staking your claim on? What are you arguing in your paper, and why? So clearly convey your intention or purpose for writing the paper. That's the why. Why are you making this claim? Why is it important? And you need to develop ethos. Ethos, remember, is where you establish yourself as a trustworthy source. You don't want to show bias in your introduction. You want to show that you understand the whole conversation, both sides, and that you are joining it as someone with an interest in the topic. That will establish you as someone that your reader will want to listen to. In the body of your essay, you're going to give reasons to support your claim. You're going to use evidence to support those reasons. You're going to use both logos and pathos. Remember, logos is statistics and facts and figures. Pathos are real human examples that appeal to your emotion. So each body paragraph will address one reason and tell us how it relates to your claim. You'll use evidence, that means quotations from at least 2 different sources, to support your reason, and you'll use both logos and pathos in those examples. Each body paragraph will address a separate reason. I only have 3 listed here, which is reasonable in a paper that's only 3 pages long, but you can have more than 3 if you would like. Finally, you're going to end with a conclusion. How have you proven your claim? What has the reader gained by reading your paper? How does your paper relate to a larger purpose? All right, this week, after you've done your drafting, you're going to join by Wednesday. Wednesday at 11:59 p.m., that's your deadline. You're going to join our peer review discussion forum. What you'll do is you need to follow these steps exactly. So please read the steps that are posted here and also in the discussion forum. You're going to need to visit the peer review workshop conversation and post your paper as an attachment to your post. You want to introduce your paper by posting your elevator story and any questions that you have about revising it. And remember, you will be posting a finished draft. That means don't post the 1-page write-up. You will not get credit for this unless you post a 2 to 3 page paper. You also need to make sure you post your preferred email address as part of your post so that your peer can contact you as soon as they choose your paper. Step 2, you're going to review the list of peers who posted their paper already and choose one peer's post to respond to. You're only required to review one peer's paper. After you select your peer, immediately respond to his or her post saying you will peer review his or her paper. You'll also need to send an initial email to your peer to make sure that they know that you are their peer review partner. If you don't do this, you may lose that partner. Step 3. Once you respond to the post and send an email to your selected peer, download your peer's paper and find out the peer editing and fill out the peer editing checklist that's listed under this week's content. You're going to email the filled out peer review checklist and the edited draft of their paper to your peer by the end of the week. Please make sure you also answer any questions that they posted in the discussion forum. Step 5. In order to receive full credit for this assignment, you will also need to turn in the peer review checklist and the edited paper that you did of your peer's paper to the peer review assignment listed under this week's content by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Step 6, please revise your paper based on your own self-review, which I'll tell you about in just a second, and the peer review. Alright, and once again, this needs to be done. That means you need to finish drafting your paper by Wednesday. I'm sorry, just to clarify, you need to post your initial post by Wednesday. You need to complete your peer review by Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Alright, your own reflections. Once you've drafted your essay and you've finished posting your peer review, then you can review your own draft. I want you to go through and answer all of the questions posted here and posted on the Reflections Journal entry. These are great ways to think about your paper in order to improve it, and they're more focused on the actual writing rather than the argumentative content. Finally, your comp class, you'll be completing the following unit this week: critically assessing the credibility and validity of sources. All right, next week we're going to be kicking off the research project. We're going to be learning more about Jack London and the Valley of the Moon. I know I pushed it back a week. You will be reading you're going to read the introduction and the Valley of the Moon. But more about that next week. For now, good luck. I look forward to reading your papers, and please contact me if you have any questions.